Resources are an issue. When you talk of uniform allowance of 50,000 per nurse, you are talking of close to 12 billion shillings per year. That's not little money. But it's funds which can be looked in a budgetary process. The economic mathematics of what they're asking, they understand. And therefore, if that is the position of the government, not negating or negotiation is to negotiate and be able to follow a process which will realize what they want, then I'm at a loss when they continue to agitate in the streets.
Seth, your reaction?
I think the first clip was much more clearer because he said that it is not right for the nurses to be out because of the uniform allowance and health risk allowance. He said those are not issues that should keep nurses out. In other words, he was trying to say that the money implication of the two allowances is not a lot that should keep nurses out. And we have his colleague saying that the money is exorbitant, which means government is speaking from the two sides of the mouth. Dr. Mailu said that it's not exorbitant. And when he talks about 12 billion in a year for uniform allowance alone, in 4 years it's 48 billion for uniform allowance alone. And yet, when you look at the money they produced in 4 years was for 40.3 billion. So you can see clearly that those are lies. The CBA, if it was implemented before we ceded some ground, after we met in the second meeting, it comes to 7.8 billion. And when we ceded more grounds, comes about
Is the Cabinet Secretary being dishonest?
That's being dishonest, honestly. You cannot say that because you know the CBA, they have been saying it's 40.3 billion. That 40.3 billion, inclusive uniform allowance of 50,000 per nurse. Now, that was for 4 years. If he's saying that the uniform alone is 12 billion, then it means the CBA for uniform allowance for 4 years cycle is actually 48 billion. That's a lie. It's not true. So we want the government to be honest. We want the government to sit down with us, let us look at what we agreed, and if they are saying that this is what we agreed and this is what we are able to offer and we can't offer this, then we agree on implementation matrix.
Seth, could it also be that he was saying that the issue of uniform allowances isn't one that would cause nurses to be out of work for over 5 months, that it is an issue that perhaps can be resolved at the table and while the nurses continue to remain at work, not necessarily about the amount of money that is involved, but
I want that is being sarcastic.
Essence of it.
This being sarcastic because we are settling on 3 items. After we are given advice from different levels of government, which I will not mention, because there are people within government who feel we are being mistreated, and I cannot mention them. They told us identify 3 things in that CBA, whether you agreed on 100 things or 200, but identify 3 things and stick on them. So we said, fine, we will throw out everything else that we had agreed with the government, and we shall stick on 3 things. That's the grading system, uniform allowance, and health risk allowance. So that is why you see now the minister can speak sarcastically that health risk allowance and uniform allowance cannot keep nurses out. If it is that easy, why can they call us on the table, have an agreement, and tomorrow nurses go back to work?
Eliud, if it's that easy, why don't you have an agreement?
Yvonne, although I don't speak for CS Mairu, I would like to say that the context of that uniform should not be an issue that should hold nurses from going back to work. It is correct. Because if you look at what is at stake, the government has ceded ground on very many items.
Such as?
Such as increased wages with the new grading system, although they seem to have issues with it, various provision for the nurses as demanded in the CBA. Remember, as I said, the CBA is a raft of issues that the union brings on the table. Out of that raft of many issues, the government has agreed, other than just the sticking uniform allowance, health risk allowance, those are the only 2 issues. And CS Mairu is saying, surely this is not what can cause nurses not to be in
So you've ceded ground, it's just the 2 issues that have not been agreed upon.
And I would also say this, Yvonne.
I'd like us to hear from...
I would also say this, Yvonne, if you allow me.
Yes.
In the last meeting that we had, and Seth was there, we did actually table before them what the government was able to afford. And they said, we can't commit ourselves here. We have to go back and speak to our members. Since that time, which was basically fairly late end of last month, early last month, The union has not come back.
Seth?
I have never seen the most dishonest office of government like Murithi. I don't know what he's talking about. Because what we agreed on 30th, that was the last meeting, was 4 issues. And among those 4 issues, the union, even before meeting government, the National Government Council of the Union met in Railways Club and authorized us to sit ground on extraneous allowance of 5,000 per job group. They said, let's be left with 3 things. There is nothing, honestly, that the government has offered. It has said we should go back to work with nothing. Nothing completely. So when he says government has seated ground, I do not know what he's talking about. When he says government gave us an offer, can he say what that offer was?
What was that offer?
You see, Yvonne, these negotiations have been ongoing for some time. And I'm happy that Seth is actually zeroing down to the issues that appear to be in contention. Now, you can only be able to agree on the issues that are in contention if both parties are able to sit and negotiate. We have reached out to the union on several occasions to come, we have a meeting, we go through the issues and say, look, if for once we cannot be able to afford what you are demanding now, can't we be able to agree on a structured basis? But in the meantime, why should we allow our citizens to suffer? Can we not?
So how many times are those that you have called them and they have not attended?
In fact, Yvonne, in the last, after the general election, because we had postponed after the general elections, then we came back, we have held approximately a number of meetings. We have held a meeting on the 10th of August, on the 14th, on the 21st, the 22nd, 23rd, and the 25th. The last meeting that we held with the union at the COG offices, we did provide to them what it is that was affordable for the time being. Remember, these issues of the financials, they go through a budgetary process. And the budgetary process, you remember, we are now entering what we call the supplementary budgets, which then have got to go through the county assemblies, then come through the national cycle through Senate and National Assembly, and then Treasury, before then additional funds can be provided. We provided that information to the union and said, since you are aware of the process of budget making in government, why can you come back, we negotiate, in the meantime, as what we agree, we are able then to provide, because then the necessary institutions would have basically come into office.
Seth, 6 meetings since the general election.
I still can't connect with Mr. Murithi because what he's saying is very strange to us. He's telling you they gave us an offer in the last meeting. If we go by the last meeting was on 30th of August, we agreed on uniform allowance of 50,000. We agreed on extraneous allowance of 5,000 addition to every nurse. We agreed on health risk allowance of 15,400. We agreed on the grading structure for nurses.
So it's on the 30th of August?
Yes, that's what we agreed. If that is what they want to give us, then why are we on strike? Why can't they call me tomorrow? We sign this thing immediately. People go back to work.
Elliot, did you meet on the 30th of August and agree to what Seth is talking about?
What we offered, Yvonne, to the union negotiation committee members, and Seth was present, said, because we can't commit ourselves, we'll go back to our members and seek authority. And then we come back.
So that is what was agreed on the 30th? That they were to go back and consult their members?
And they have not come back.
No, he's lying.
Gentlemen,
he's lying, honestly.
How is it that the two of you, who are part of the same negotiating team, have different versions of events of these meetings? That is why they removed Honorable
Philip Kungu, because he is the only honest man in that negotiating team. Call him here to come and say the truth. Because when he says, members have given me authority to negotiate on their behalf, and I don't have to go and consult them. I know the decision I make is good for my members, and they have never challenged the decision I've made. So what I'm trying to say is this. It is them who are supposed to have presented what we had agreed on the full council meeting, plus the Ministry of Health and other stakeholders.
So you are not to go back and consult your members?
On that first, what came out was, go back to work or we shall sack you by 8th. Then, of course, they had contracted one John B to go to court on their behalf. They had, you see? So I feel so angry and frustrated when a government official can come on a national television like this one and actually tell lies.
Gentlemen, while we are bickering over what happened in the boardroom and who said what and what was agreed.
We have minutes that we can supply.
I would like to listen to some of the views of Kenyans, of patients in the country.
Fika huku wakaniambia wafanyi, wameniambia nitafute hospitali yenye iko karibu nipeleke mtoto kwa saizi ya wadimit. Kwa hivyo sasa hata wakimweka hapo hawatamsaidia kwa sababu ni uchungu tu.
Hakuwa anasaidiwa chui mguu. Sasa hii inatoa madudu.
I came in at around 5 in the morning. And since now I haven't seek any medical attention and my daughter is sick. So I don't know what is going to happen next. I'm just going home.
Baada kufanya operation ndio madaktari wakagoma. Baada ya kugoma nimebaki tu hivyo. Sipati madawa. Nakaa hivyo tu.
Gentlemen, that is who this is all for, and that is what matters. What will it take, Eliud, I'll start with you, to get the nurses back to work? You heard the nurse we spoke to saying they've been out for 5 months anyway. It's gotten to the point where 1 extra month, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, doesn't matter. So regardless of the minutes and what they said on the 30th of August or not, what is the way forward in your view?
Thank you, Yvonne. I'd like to respond this way. And I want to put myself in the position of Wanjiku, that member of the public, that lady who is speaking on the screen there. If we look at this matter on a very objective basis, is there any reason that anybody can use to convince the Kenyans today that the nurses have been out on strike for now going to 5 months, and the only reason is because they're talking about uniform, about a health risk allowance? The issues that confront Wanjiku are enormous, and we are all, as public officers, called upon to be able to offer solutions. And what I would basically want to appeal to the union is this. We have agreed on 90% of the issues. We are only remaining with just basically 10%. What is it that is so a matter of life and death that they can't come back to the negotiation table, and in the meantime, they offer services to the members of the public in the various health facilities? What is it that really makes them feel that they can't do that? Yet the government is willing and ready and committed to be able to commit itself and say, look, engage, come back to work, and offer services to Wanjiku, and then we discuss, we negotiate, and iron out the 2 remaining issues. I really think that there is no justifiable reason that the union can use, may it be monetary or otherwise, to subject the Kenyans to the kind of suffering that we are seeing. When the government has invested so much in the nurses, in training, and many other facilities that they enjoy today, yet they are only looking at their own selfish interests without looking at what it is that Wanjiku is going through.
So they should come back to the table?
They should come back to the table.
Seth, what's it going to take to get back to the negotiating table?
We have never walked out of a negotiating table. You have heard the cabinet secretary clearly, not once, not twice, not thrice, that he is not ready to engage the nurses union. And what he's saying is that go back to work, then we negotiate. And I think Dr. Mailu is very much experienced in the matters of labor. I have been informed clearly by my senior, Mr. Francis Atwoli, that he's very much experienced. So you cannot tell workers go back to work. You must have a proper return to work formula that addresses everything that made people to go out, together with the issue that arise as a result of the strike. It's very wrong for someone to say nurses are fighting for their own personal interest. We are fighting for everybody. In that CPA, if it's implemented in total, because he's saying we are talking about 10%, there is nothing we are talking about. We have seated ground, and that's why you see they are taking a Morgan. We have seated ground, and then we are saying now we are ready to go to work when we agree on these 3 issues. Then they come on national television and say, look here, the only two issues. In fact, what they have done today, plus Dr. Mailu, is that we are now going to remain with the issues as we agreed in our last meeting. Because when we do a favor that we want to sit ground, they come tomorrow and say, only these ones.
So will you go back to the table or no?
We are ready, even now, even tomorrow. Very much ready. Because
but the problem
trade
is,
union,
the stumbling block is?
Yvonne, stumbling block is dishonesty from government. Dishonesty, because Dr. Cleopas Mailu has never called this union for any meeting and we've refused to go. What they are trying to do, they are trying to reach out to nurse managers so that they convert them into a union and tell them to go and end the strikes on the ground. And
Is that what you did today, Elliot?
That's what they did today.
Because, Elliot, you had a meeting with the nurses management
that's exactly what they did today. And I'm very happy to report to you that our nurses managers have stood firm and they said they also want the CBA.
Elliot, as we conclude?
Yvonne, the chief nursing officers have their own forum that meets on a scheduled basis. And today they were meeting as part of that process.
What was the agenda?
When they meet to discuss issues that affect the nursing profession. And therefore, there was nothing unusual for the nurses to meet to discuss their own professional issues, which is nothing to do with the union.
Okay.
I would like to say again, Yvonne,
in 30 seconds, please.
The nurses union, it's got to be honest with Kenyans. I'm saying here live on television that the nurses union has walked out of the negotiations.
Okay.
We have reached out to them severally so that we can be able to conclude this matter.
All right. Gentlemen, we have to leave it at that. Seth, you're still going to be on strike? 5 months, a month, 6 months,
we are still going to be on strike until our issues are addressed. Because when I hear Murithi speak, I see dishonest from government.
All right.
And I don't see a solution.
Okay.
Let them call us for a meeting tomorrow. And in fact, on Monday, I'm going to write them a letter, say, oh, we are ready for the meeting. You said walked out.
Okay.
Call us. We are ready.
Seems like there's a lot of dishonesty to go around between both gentlemen. But thank you very much for coming in. We do sincerely hope that there will be some headway with this issue. If you want to follow the conversation we've been having here regarding the nurses' strike, a big issue going into 5 months now, please go onto the hashtag #TheBigStory on Twitter, at KTN News, at Yvonne Okwara. That's our big story tonight. We wish you health throughout this long weekend. Please have a good evening. I will see you again next week. I'm Yvonne Okwara Matole. Good night.